Hey, everybody, and welcome to the It Shouldn't Happen to Us podcast, where your wannabe sales gurus come at you from the heart of Miami with tales of woe from the field. This is Carlos and Sophia, and you know, just like you guys, we're building sales and we're building sales teams, and we get the struggle. And as gurus, it shouldn't happen to us, but it seems to.
Why, hello there, Carlos.
Sophia, there you are. Hello, Sophia. Hello, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. It is quite early o'clock, but it is good to see you. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
I kind of like this time for recording the pod. I feel.
Well, let's see what it's like
ready.
at the end.
We'll see.
Let's see if it's only
Things
going to
start well and well.
Yeah, okay, feels good. But you look well rested. I don't feel well rested today.
You don't.
But anyway, that's all right.
Hours of sleep.
Well, that's why. That's because you got cooked up in that you were cooking yourself at the
Chinese New Year festival
this weekend. Chinese New Year festival. Yeah,
that's right.
Beautiful. Okay, let's get into it.
So, Carlos, what happened to you last week or this week that really shouldn't have happened to you?
What? Because it shouldn't happen to us, right?
No, it really shouldn't.
We should know what we're doing.
We should be the example.
So, do you remember last week we had we spoke about that Ish2 moment that we were sent? Hey guys, if you here's the deal, guys. Sophia and Carlos, we work hard to bring you some cool, engaging sales advice, how to build a sales team, how to build your book of business. We're working hard to bring you some cool stuff. Here's the deal, guys. Here's the reciprocity that we need. If you find yourself in a sales call, or you find yourself doing some prospecting, or you're even in a sales leadership position and you're building your team, and you know what you're doing, and something happens to you that shouldn't happen to you, that's a fabulous moment for you to hit comment on the video or shoot me or Sophia an email. Ish2, hashtag Ish2 moment. ISHTU. Shouldn't happen to us moment. And tell us what happened, and we can commiserate together on the pod. That's the reciprocity. Send us your Ish2 moments. Or, hey, you could even just like and subscribe. That would be pretty cool. Hit the bell for alerts. That would be cool, too. That's the reciprocity. But no, when I look back at this week, what's my Ish2 moment this week? Guess what I booked this week? I booked myself a networking event.
Wow. Why would you do that to
misery.
yourself?
You know what? It shouldn't happen to us. What actually happened? I didn't book a networking event. I was asked to MC an event.
Oh, okay. And, that's good.
But then, the MCing bit's going to be about an hour. And then, so there's the bit before and the bit after where I've got to do networking. And you know how Carlos feels about networking.
I know you do. I know you're like in and out. You're like, get me out of here. Give me my cheap wine. And get me
my small plate of cheese. And a little cracker and get.
And it's always chicken. It's always chicken and cold green beans.
I don't think this is going to be I don't think this is going to be like a sit down. This is going to be a what? Even they're it's my worst nightmare. It's going to be stood up with a small plate of cheese and cracker and a glass of cheap wine, trying to speak. Having that internal battle with myself, which is just. I want to just find a quiet corner and lament at my lot. But I know that I'm supposed to go and meet some people. Or even worse, I get brought somebody to talk to. So I know I've got to do some good prep. I know I've got to get value out of it. It's like a 3-hour event. So I can't have 3 hours. A 3-hour event for me has got to yield some serious value. So I've got to go and figure out how to. Well, we know what good looks like. We know what we're supposed to do. But I shouldn't put myself in these positions. I would honestly rather spend 3 hours cold calling than 3 hours in a day. You're the opposite, Sophia. You love those networking events.
I don't love them, but I do. I know how to work.
You
them.
don't love them?
I don't. I think early on when I first started doing networking events, like when I first started in sales, I liked them. But post-COVID, towards the end, I was doing about 6 a month, 6 networking events a month. And on a Wednesday after a long day, and now I have to go to a networking happy hour. I mean,
you said post-COVID. Did you mean pre-COVID?
Pre-COVID, my bad.
Right.
Pre-COVID.
Right.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
Pre-COVID, I'd have a happy hour I'd have to go to at a bank. And, I don't think you have to love it. I think you just have to see it as a long game. I think you have to be efficient and effective at it.
So what do you mean? What do you mean by long game?
It's a long game. You got to go to pick one networking organization, whether it's an association, a chamber, United Way. Pick a group that you're going to commit to. And those same people are going to see you again and again and again and again. And emceeing is good because you get visibility. Oh yeah, that's Carlos from, Absolute, right?
I know it's the kind of thing that we've got to do. And it's a privilege to be asked to MC.
Absolutely.
And I think maybe that's my hesitation here is the fact that of course, networking is a long game. And I absolutely am not prepared to play that long game. Not for me. Now it's cool if that's you were always good at it. You were always so good at it. It's not where I really
another thing
excel. It's just not.
You want to, so whichever organization you end up joining, whatever chamber, association, whatever it is, you also want to create a cool friendship with the people that organize those events.
Now that is
nice
good
trust
technique.
And bonding a rapport, because those people are going to be very helpful. They're going to have contacts, and they can, like, one of the things I used to like to do is about 48 hours before an event, I'd email whoever was coordinating the event and say, hey, would you be so kind as to send me the list of who is registered for this event? You don't have to send me emails and phone numbers. I know that's like sending me a leads list and that's uncomfortable, but I'd at least like to know their full name, their company, and their role so I can lurk them on LinkedIn. That way I could put the work in networking and dive right on in with 5 people that I'd like to meet, knowing very well that I'll probably only get to 3 of them and I'll only get a coffee with one of them. But being strategic about that. Also, don't go to a networking event trying to sell. Like, don't be that guy that's passing out, cards. You got to go in there thinking, I'm going to make some cool connections, because you never know who somebody's spouse is. You never know who somebody's neighbor is. So the name of the game is go in there with the mission to share with as many people as you know what it is you do. Find out what they do. See if you can bring value to their business. And over the course of time, you'd be surprised. I mean, years later, you'll get phone calls. I know it's a long game.
What's the quote from the is it Frank Betcher book on sales? The How I Raise Myself, that one. He says, this business of selling, gentlemen. Now you got to give the guy a break for using gentleman. He wrote it 100 years ago.
I like that one.
So this business of sales, gentlemen, is wow, what's the quote? I forget the quote. What he says, the line in the book is, if you go out and tell 5 people a day what you do, you can't help but make good. So I know this is a cool I know this is a cool activity, and you are exactly right. So here's the problem. A couple of problems. The problem with networking is, it's multi-layered. The first one is, as you've said, everyone's selling and no one's buying. Everybody's selling at a networking event. So the first thing to do, if you want to stand out, is not be that guy. Let's not be that guy. I remember once I was stood at an event, and over comes. You may know the guy, the bow tie banker. Do you remember the bow tie banker? The guy who's called
Oh yeah,
Raphael or
yeah.
something.
Banker. Oh yes.
The
But
bow
was he a
tie
banker?
banker. Well, I don't know. He used to call himself the bow tie banker. He worked at a bank. Anyway, he walks over to me with this lady on his arm. Carlos, he says, you've got to meet whatever her name is, and I can't remember what her name is, but you've got to meet whoever this is. And I was, I was studying this networking event, feeling uncomfortable because I really don't like them, and I thought, oh, Raphael, what a rock star bringing me over. I don't know whether it's a prospect or a center of influence, or he was bringing somebody over to me, and I thought, this is amazing. And he brings this lady over to me, and she turns around, and Raphael says, oh, this is Carlos. Carlos, this is whatever her name was. And I said, oh, very nice to meet you. And she comes right out of the gate with it. Oh, Carlos, tell me about your business. Have you got employees? She said.
No.
I said, yeah. I've got some employees. And she said, well, do you offer them benefits? Because that's what I do. I do benefits. So let me tell you about all the benefits that we do, and you probably don't offer them enough benefit. And it was like a real sort of Ned Ryerson moment, right? And then I saw Raphael, having deposited this lady with me, did like a full swivel, like he swiveled his body away and just started walking. I was Raphael's repository for this lady.
Yep.
And then I remembered. Because about 6 months before, we'd done it. Raphael had, I think, crashed a class. Because we do like a crash a class. Come and have a look at one of our sales trainings. And Raphael had crashed the class where I'd done how to pass on somebody at a networking event that you shouldn't be speaking to. And that's the move. You make an introduction, and then it's a full body swivel away.
Oh my gosh, you're making me realize that Eric has done that to me.
Oh my God. Well, Eric's a master. What does Eric always teach us? Eric always said, you work it like a job. Work a networking group like it's your job, like it's your full-time job.
That's right.
So I don't want to be, I certainly don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that lady who comes at everybody like they're a prospect. That is not the way to do networking. You can't go there with a mindset that says you're selling. You're not selling. I think your mindset's absolutely bang on. I'm here to strike up some relationships, just to find some people to talk to. That's what we're supposed to be doing every day, finding people.
Sometimes you meet some cool people. I'm telling you, I've met some cool. Sometimes every once in a while, you meet someone pretty cool, and you never know when you do. It's like, we say, when I was selling advertising, we'd say like 98% of the people that you speak to do not need your product or service right now. Hey, but when you do, when you do need that realtor, when you do need that public adjuster, those services that you're like, I don't need that every day, but they do come to mind. I mean, you do meet some every once in a while. You might meet.
But you're exactly right. So the right thing to do is for me, I have to. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of seeing a 2-hour networking event on the schedule and saying to themselves, okay, so there's 2 hours work. The reality is the work is the 2 hours before and the 3 hours after. The 2 hours in the middle is kind of like the price you pay for the 3 hours after when you're actually having appointments with people.
It's a real science. It's a real science and discipline, because another thing that helped me be successful with networking is setting a date with myself for follow-up afterwards. As soon as I put 100%. The event on my calendar, either that same day or who said that business cards, whatever cards you get from an event within 24 hours, it's like a gum that loses its flavor. Forget it.
Yeah, right? No. A business card of an event. And somebody you meet at an event has got a half-life of a day. Right? It's a 1-day half-life, which means you leave it 24 hours, that connection is worth 50% of what it was.
Correct.
You leave it another 24 hours, we're down at 25%. Leave it another 24 hours, and you're down at 12.5%. I mean, it just deteriorates, falls off a cliff, the value of that connection. you've got, you know, sometimes I think back of some of the cool people that I met, and I have met some amazing people. I was at a networker in Dallas Fort Worth, which is a cool city, by the way. I was at Dallas Fort Worth, and I was moderating a panel, but it was a big event as well, and I met some of the most amazing people. But then I had to get on a plane, and then because I'd been at this event all day and moderating this event, which means my inbox had got stacked, and before you know it, it's a week later, and you know what? Just throw those deeds away. It's pointless. It's you gotta spend the 2 hours up front seeing who's going to go and plan who you're going to meet, and then it's the 2 or 3 hours at the end afterwards, within 24 hours, where you're following up, setting appointments, turning it into scheduled calls, where you're actually meeting somebody. Zoom's great now. You know, you can actually meet somebody face to face. Otherwise, forget it. Just you're playing it small. Yeah. And I think I play networking small.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think you want to even take it to another level. Like, I think that in that appointment with yourself, date with yourself to do follow-up, don't send an email. Don't send an email. Send maybe a video message. Send something cool like a LinkedIn voice note, something different that they're going to remember you by. I mean, people always remember me.
You're so high tech.
It's not that high tech. It's just be different. You know, be different when, you know, in your follow up. Not, oh, it was great meeting you yesterday at the Reconnect lunch. You know, I was wondering, in fact, I've got the ovaries to say, set the coffee at the event. Like, everyone has their calendar.
What's your magic line? There we go. Go on, give them your magic line. I love this line.
So, George, I bet $1 million you've got your calendar on your phone.
That's it. I bet $1 million you got your calendar on your phone. Of course, everyone's got.
And then remember, from what we learned from Hamish last week, whatever their first availability is, you say, "Nah, I'm not." I can't.
Well, all right, then I'll do that one, and then okay, but you owe me one. Nice redress of power, redress the balance of power. But
do it,
book it there and then. That's the right way to do it.
And, you know, the nature of networking is you're going to get people, especially if they're like really, you know, people. How many times do you hear, especially in Miami? Oh, I'm just a people person. You're going to get people that blow smoke up your behind and say, yeah, let's meet. And then come the next day, crickets, right? Because they tell you what you want to hear, and you don't even get mad, because that is just part of it. That is just part of it. And call it out. Say, are we just having, is this a budding romance? Or are you just saying that you want to meet with me now and then tomorrow? No, I really want. Okay, all right, cool. That's my superpower, though, is guts and humor. Is that I call people, right? But it goes a long way in the BS test. If your BS meter is going off and you're like, this person is just saying they want to meet with me to get so they can get their second round of cheap Chardonnay. BS tested. Yeah, no, you really want to meet with me? Oh yeah.
You see, I've got kind of a radical rule. Not everybody's gonna agree with this. I don't want to get. I ain't taking business cards. If I meet you, then let's properly connect and let's set an appointment. Let's set a reason to talk. I ain't taking them and I ain't receiving them. Don't push one into my hand. That is just going to be trash. Don't give me a business card. Don't send me a business card. Don't take a business card from me. I just don't do business cards. It's like, we don't live in 1980s anymore. We don't need business cards. We can set an appointment.
If you don't have a LinkedIn, I mean, LinkedIn is all social media. The moment you learn a couple new tricks, they're obsolete, you know? Mm-hmm. But if you don't have a LinkedIn, well, what are your thoughts, Carlos, on on not having a LinkedIn profile, or having a LinkedIn profile but it doesn't even have a picture, or it just has that you graduated from the University of Michigan.
In sales, if you grow in a business, or you grow in a sales team, or you're in sales, if you own a business or grow in a business, and not have a LinkedIn profile, that's like having a shoe store in the middle of the desert where nobody is. I mean, that's just you've got to have a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
And also, you've got to use LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn, we live in a very technologically advanced age. If you'd have said to somebody who was in sales in 80 years ago, I'm going to put in your pocket a Rolodex with a way to connect to, how many million is it now? Is it 200, 300 million potential buyers? That you didn't, and you could connect with them instantly globally. This would have blown the mind of anybody in sales. I remember, but go back 80 years, and the way salespeople got to see new people is they would get on a train.
Yeah.
And go to a town. It's like that scene out of The Music Man, right? Where all these salesmen are on a train going to a town to meet, to try and sell their wares. In our pocket is a Rolodex with 200 or 300 million. I think it's 700 million people now on LinkedIn. I forget the number. We did know the stat, but it's it's a lot of people. And you can connect with them instantly without having to get on a train. Right.
I think people have a lot of head trash about LinkedIn. People think, it's the same people that post every single weekend on Facebook that have head trash about leveraging LinkedIn. So
I have legitimately had clients say to me, aghast, I can't look at them on LinkedIn. I'd feel like a stalker. I'm like, oh my goodness. Are you in the wrong game? Are you in the wrong game? I mean, what? This business of sales is simple. Go out and tell 5 people a day what you do and have a conversation with somebody, and you can't help but make good. It is that is a truism that hasn't aged over 100 years. The methodology's changed, but yeah, I'm a huge believer in using all our social tools to make everything else easier.
It's like a living resume. It's like a living resume. It allows, and a business card, it's a living resume. You get to share your experience, which ends up being your story in a way. It's an incredible prospecting platform.
Now, some people use it as a marketing platform, and I do see the merits of a marketing platform. I mean, we use it a little bit as a marketing platform too. That's all right, but that ain't the real power. And some people are some people are using it for team development. And, LinkedIn was originally like a recruiter site. I get it. But where it's really powerful is a prospecting. It's a prospecting support tool. It's used in support of that initial call, that networking event, either before or after. It is a prospecting facilitation tool, and it is magic. It really is. What are the other truisms? So, networking is a social game. So, play a long game was message number 1. Message number 2 was use the social platforms before and after to really make connections. And let's remember, we don't live in the 1980s anymore. We don't need business card exchanges. I truly believe, and this is going to cause a riot from any of the sales gurus who might be watching or listening. I truly believe that the day of the business card is gone. It's just nonsense. I would say that 95% of all business cards that are exchanged are trash. Are trash within 10, 15 minutes of being received. They're in the round filing cabinet, the round basket-shaped filing cabinet. But do you think 95% of them, 98% of them? When's the last time you worked through a pile of business cards? It's just, if you did, let me tell you what you did. You were selling, you weren't buying. When's the last time you picked up your pile of business cards because you wanted to buy something? Never. Never. It's nonsense. Business cards are nonsense.
It's not kind to the earth either.
No, it's not. It's not. So truisms, it's a long game. It's an in-person event, and business cards are nonsense. So forget the business cards. The magic happens the 2 hours before a 2-hour event and the 2 hours after a 2-hour event. It isn't the 2 hours of the event. That's another truism. I think be genuine is an important. Be yourself, authentic.
Yeah,
is really important.
Here's something we haven't mentioned. What about your elevator pitch? What about your 30-second commercial? Are you going into a conversation like this woman, slamming them with your 30-second commercial, or do you have some questions in the car on the way over to the event where you can build some, really get to know people on a personal level, not about their business, a little about their business, a little bit about their personal life. Did they grow up here? How'd they get into this industry? Or are you just going in, oh, well, what do you do? Wimpy. You can't be wimpy with your questions when you go to a networking event. You got to be interested and not interesting. If you're trying to be the most interesting person in the room, it's not good.
Well, what we always believe, right, is that the best way to be interesting is to be interested. So you become interesting because you're interested. Absolutely, I believe at a networking event. In all honesty, I think the last thing you need is a 30-second commercial. Even though I know we teach everybody they've got to have the 30-second commercial. Here's the way I see it. It's like it's like steps. At first, when you start networking, you need your 30-second commercial, right? That should be locked and loaded. Why? Because otherwise, you're at the wolves. You're at the mercy of the wolves, mercy of the winds. It's just too brutal an environment to not have that kind of prep. So, yeah, do you need? And you start in a kind of small fry kind of networking event. The chambers and those little events, those little, the ones in Miami, they're on the rooftops of the nice hotels. It's free to get in, but it's $15, $20 for a gin and tonic. Those events, those network after work events where everybody in there is a social media marketer or, what else is everybody these days? The social media marketers, the realtors and their,
realtors.
The realtors, the social media marketers, there's just, it's people, and they're all young, and they all, by the way, in Miami, look amazing. It's like Paris Fashion Week. They're gorgeous, but they've got no money, so they didn't want to spend any money on an event. So it's a free event or a $10 event. At a $10 event, you know what you get? You get $10 people. So with $10 people, you get $10 opportunities. I mean, it's not, it is, it's kind of self-fulfilling. So right at the beginning, you've got to cut your teeth in those events. And you go to the small little chambers and you go to that's where you start and you need your 30-second commercial. But that's a stepping stone. Pretty soon, if you get good at this, you're not at the $10 event. Like you said, you're at the United Ways. You're at the high quality events, which typically cost more money, of course. Or you're on, you're ideally invited to speak, kind of like we are often at those events, and then really you don't even want to get to your 30-second commercial. By the time you've got through those early rounds and you've developed your skills, you've just got to be asking loads of questions, right? When someone says, "What do you do?" Ugh, what I do is boring. Tell me about you. What do you do? I mean, you just deflect, and ask. That's that's the real technique here. Is you ask loads of questions, and you're very interested in the people you meet, and then you set a follow up. The magic happens in the prep and in the follow up. Have you got any networking coming up?
No, I don't have anything on the calendar for networking.
You used to do. What was it?
6 a month.
6 a month. And you gone down to 0. Did you just network out? Did you just burn out?
No, that my number one networking chamber went virtual, and they've been struggling to get back. So, not to say that the virtual events are bad. You could still direct message somebody and get a virtual coffee with them. I guess I haven't found a networking organization that is really calling me.
Well, we're going to fix that, right? Because we've brought we need to tell in one of the up and coming episodes. We need to tell them about our house cause as well, because we should start doing some networking for our house cause, our Children's Harbour cause. So, how long do you think before we've got the goggles on and we're doing meta networking? What do you think? It's all virtual. We'll all be like kind of virtually shaking hands with people with the
in the metaverse?
networking.
Oh, it's already happening. It's already happening.
But I mean, most of us aren't doing that. You got to be like a real early adopter, or am I just living under a rock?
You're living under a rock. Like the big wigs, like CEOs of companies are playing golf in the metaverse.
Shut up! They're playing golf in the metaverse.
Yeah, a buddy of mine, he got a meeting with a CEO. I'm not going to mention names or companies, but he landed a really sweet meeting with a CEO playing PGA on the Oculus online.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah.
What, in like a virtual golf where they get one of those balls that you hit and it hits like a sheet,
like a little
And everybody's walking around with their Oculus on, and everybody's all over the world playing golf together.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Is amazing.
Last year we saw from Jody.
Oh yeah, no, I
an
mean
example
absolutely,
of a
but
trade show in the metaverse.
But I just thought it was still like 3 or 4 years off. It's now. It's happening right now.
Yeah,
amazing. Maybe I'll like them more when it's like that. So we're at the end of time. I think we've blown our time contract. Sophia, great to see you. What have we talked about today? We talked about really some of the right ways and the wrong ways to do networking. Hey guys, if you've made it this far with us, please hit like, please hit subscribe, and send us your ish2 moments. And hey, well, it's great to see you all. Great to see you, Soph. Great to see you. And it's goodbye from Sophia.
And it's toodaloo from Carlos.
Toodaloo, guys. Nice to see you.